Last night, Jim Lefevre was very angry and very put out, but nowhere near as disturbed as he would have been later had he still been in the ball game when this happened. An 0-2 pitch goes, hit by Junior Felix for a game-winning home run. That was last night. So tonight, the Cubs will try to even the series. Stay with us for all the thrilling plays coming away in just a moment.
Chicago Cubs baseball on Channel 9. The Cubs are brought to you by Budweiser. Fresh, pure, natural. Proud to be your bud. True Value Hardware Stores. Got a tough job to do? You can do it with True Value Hardware Stores. Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. United, Chicago's hometown airline, is proud to be the official airline of the Chicago Cubs. By Pepsi, gotta have it. And by the Chicago Tribune, Chicagoland's choice for sports, daily and Sunday.
Each year.
We're at Joe Robbie Stadium, the home of the Florida Marlins. Boy, oh boy, what a ball game to lose. Not only did the Marlins last night, Steve, score all 5 of the runs after 2 were out, but all 5 of the runs, the guy who got the hit, driving in the runs, had 2 strikes on him, including an 0-2 count to Junior Felix, who won the game with a 2-run homer.
I think everybody associated with the Cubs wants to forget about last night, and tonight it's going to be Greg Hibbert going to the mound. He's 3-3. Louis Aquino is going to the mound, and he's 2-1, and they got Aquino from the Royals, and he hasn't won 3 games in a row since 1991. So, Harry, should be a good one tonight.
All right, we'll be back with the lineups in a moment. With Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman. The Diet Pepsi Cubs lineup is presented now with Wilson leading off in center, Vizcaíno at short, Grace at first, Sandberg at second, May in left, Buechele at third, Dwight Smith in right, Wilkins catching, and Greg Hibbert, who has won 3 and lost 3 on the mound. The defensive alignment for the Marlins: Conine in left, Carr in center, Felix in right, Maggott and Weiss, Renteria and Destrada around the infield, Aquino the pitcher, and Santiago the catcher. And the umpires: Larry Vanover behind the plate, Harry Wendelstedt at first, Angel Hernandez at second, and Ed Rapriano at third, and we're ready to play baseball.
Louis Aquino is making his first start of the season at home. He's had 4 other starts. They've all come on the road. He's won 2 in a row and hasn't won 3 in a row since 1991 when he was pitching for the Kansas City Royals. He also had a brief trial with Toronto. Now, this man is not overpowering, but he's been a pretty good pitcher for the Marlins. His record, 2-1, but the ERA a fine 2.45.
Well, he's no youngster. He's 27. He won 8, lost 4 1 year for Kansas City. So he's had experience in the American League, and his first pitch is in there. A strike call. Wilson had a base hit last night. He swings and he misses. 0-2. Boy, this Marlin club has won 18 ball games, lost 23. Only 5 under 500. For an expansion team, that's good. Here's a pitch inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Beautiful evening here. Bouncing foul out of play. Bob Searles, who used to be the Cub organization, a cameraman, used to take pictures of the players, watching the ball game here tonight. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Willie Wilson leading off. There's a fly ball. Short center right field will be caught. And Junior Felix comes in and grabs Wilson's short fly ball.
Now this is about the windiest day that they've had in the Miami area for a long time, and at least the windiest day they've had since they started playing Major League Baseball here. And the flags say that the wind is blowing almost straight in. However, don't be fooled by that, because when the flags are blowing like that, it means that the swirling winds here will take the ball out to left field. So it's going to be very lively in left and fairly dead in right tonight.
Here's the pitch swung on by Vizcaino, another fly ball, and again Junior Feely. 2 up, 2 down, and here's Mark Grace.
Aquino has 60 starts out of his 130 Major League appearances, so he fancies himself really as a starter. And out of the bullpen for the Marlins, he wasn't particularly good with an ERA close to 5, but when they started him, he's been pitching very well overall, and they like him in the rotation.
2 and out, nobody on. Tim Smith is connected with the Marlin organization. Grew up, friend of Jeff Innes of the Mets in Decatur, Illinois. Bob Skeffington country. Sending along good well wishes to his father, Darrell Smith, who just got out of the hospital. Here's a pitch, a curve, strike. And 1 ball, 1 strike. And also says get well to his Aunt Millie Carr in Pekin, Illinois. Fouled it out of play. 2 out, nobody on.
Aquino's got some pretty good size for a pitcher. He's 6'1", 190 pounds. And the Marlins bought him outright from the Kansas City Royals March 27th of '93. So they didn't like their pitching at the start of the season, and they went out to shore up what they thought was a bullpen pitcher.
There's a curve low. And the count even up 2-2. Not as many people here tonight as there were last night. Maybe it's just early. Maybe they'll be in later. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The game's starting a half hour earlier tonight than they did last night. Time call. Greetings to Mike and Lila Beck of Warrenville, Illinois, from Sally and John. Watching the game here tonight. Line smash for Grace. A base hit. So Luis Aquino can forget about the no-hit game. Here's Sandberg.
Take up position for second base, 23, Ryan Sandberg.
Now the Cubs enter today's action 7.5 games in back of Philadelphia, who lost last night. And the Cubs find themselves in 4th place, just a half game behind St. Louis, and 2 full games behind Montreal, who's in 2nd place, 5.5 games in back of the Phillies.
Well, Dallas Green scored his first victory as manager on the Mets, as the Mets beat Atlanta 6-1, beating John Smoltz. There are the standings. Get those Phillies out of the league, and we'd have a heck of a race. There's a pitch in there, a strike call. Boy, everybody knows it's to be a different operation in New York with Dallas Green as a major domo. They had the Chicago Tribune owns the Sun Sentinel here in Fort Lauderdale. I'll read you some of Dallas's comments. Swung, and he missed. I'm here to win, Green said in his foghorn voice. I want players that are here to win. You will do it my way, or I'll direct you to the highway. We will play hard and we will play aggressively. I have not given up on 1993, so you better not either. That was quote Dallas Green. And I got another line for you in a moment. 0-2 the count. Grace at first. A curveball outside. He wound up his talk by saying, I expect you to behave like men. When you show me you can't, I'll do something about it. 2 out, a runner at first. 1 ball, 2 strikes as Grace gets back.
Mark Grace is 2 out of 3 in the stolen base department, and Santiago has had his problems. He's gunned down just 8 of 40 who have tried to steal against him, and part of that, of course, is due to the inexperience of this Marlins staff.
Bouncing ball into right field, a base hit. And again, Sandberg, who had 2 out of 4 last night, gets himself a base hit. He's hitting .284 going into the game. So he's hitting even higher after that base hit. And here's Derek May coming up with 2 out, 2 on.
Rhino goes to right field with this one, and with Renteria pulled around towards second base, no chance to get this ball in the hole, but Grace can't go to third because Junior Felix has a fine arm, and he was playing shallow in right. And the lineup a different look tonight. Wilson in the number 1 spot, and Dwight Smith would have been the leadoff hitter in the number 7 spot with Sammy Sosa out of the lineup.
Curveball outside. Texas beat California 4-2 today. Oakland made it 2 in a row over the White Sox after beating them 12-11 last night. They beat them today 6-4. Minnesota was shut out by Toronto. There's a strike call, and the count is even up. The Yankees made it 2 in a row over Boston, 7-3. Detroit beat Cleveland 5-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Inside and high.
Now, it might come into play a little later on tonight, but Jeff Conine, who is a pretty good hitter, is really a first baseman by trade, and they're trying to convert him to a left fielder. And occasionally he will have his difficulties in left field.
He's playing very deep for Derek May in left field. High pop fly over near the stands, out of play. And that evens up the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Derek May 1 out of 5 last night. Buechele, who's up next, had a triple and a double and was on base every time. With those 2 hits, a walk in an error by the right fielder, Junior Felix.
Jim Lefebvre was most unhappy with the effort of the ball club last night, and he let his team know about it after the game. It wasn't a long tirade, but it was a vociferous one, and I think the club might have gotten the message.
Fouled it back. No, that always gets me. Why is it necessary for a manager to read out the ball players, apparently suggesting they're not trying? If they're not trying, you ought to get rid of them. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Derek May. Aquino's pitch. Swung on. Fly ball will be caught. Coming in, Chuck Carr to retire the side. 2 hits, no runs, 2 left. We go to the bottom of the first, no score. Harry Carey back at Joe Robbie Stadium. Here is the Marlins lineup. Chuck Carr in center. Rich Renteria at second. Benito Santiago, the catcher. Orestes Estrada at first. Dave Magadan at third. Junior Felix in right. Jeff Conine in left. Walt Weiss at short. And Aquino. There's a bunt. He's going to beat it out. The throw. He does easily. Oh, he pushed that bunt past the mound. Good start for the Marlins, and that car can fly.
Chuck Carr is one of the fastest men in the National League. And as we look at the defense right there, Chuck Carr is on base to lead it off.
Diet Pepsi presents the defensive lineman, which you see right there. Runner on at first is Renteria, the second baseman, hitting .319. No homers, 8 RBIs.
Chuck Carr has stolen 19 bases this year. He's been caught just 5 times, and Hibbert has got to throw a ground ball here. Renteria does not have great speed. You might be able to get 2.
Boy, look at the lead that Carr had. He must have read Greg Hibbert very well in other games. Look at that. He's way off of there. 1-1. Strike call.
I like the way that Carr leads off first because he's taking his lead very close to the grass, which means he's got a straight line to second base. Also, by taking the lead close to the grass, you can get a little more lead, and it doesn't look like you're quite that far off the bag to the pitcher.
The delivery. Bouncing ball. They get a force play at second. Nice play by Gray. He was running over that way to feel the ball towards second and just tossed the Vizcaíno for the force out.
The Cubs will take this one because they take a very fast man off base and they replace him with a guy that doesn't have good speed, and a good play by Grace. Grace does have good mobility, especially to his right. He cuts across the diamond and he gets the only out he can get with really no thought of a double play there.
Well, Steve, you know, with the great speed of Carr and the big lead he had, I'm amazed he wasn't going.
I'm surprised that they didn't use the hit and run here.
Yeah.
Because Hibbert is not a strikeout pitcher, and you'd love to have Carr at second base. And maybe they missed a sign because they're talking with Chuck Carr in the dugout right now. And it's quite possible that he did miss one, as you looked at a talented and very fast center fielder for the Florida Marlins.
And he also has got a beautiful earring.
I think they lead the league in earrings, Harry. Every one of them has one.
I tell you, they must lead the league in Latin ball players. And that goes to show how smart their operation is there in Miami, where a big percentage of the people here are Spanish descent. There's a high drive by Santiago. It's going to be caught by Willie Wilson. 2 gone.
Now, Greg Hibbert was originally selected by the Florida Marlins in the first round, the number 6 choice overall from the Chicago White Sox. When Larry Hines, who heard about that, obviously, decided that he wanted Greg Hibbert in his starting rotation, he traded Gary Scott and Alex Arias here to Florida, and he got Greg Hibbert in return. So, but for the trade, Hibbert would be in the starting rotation of the team that he's facing tonight.
Oreste Destrada. Hot shot on the ground. Vizcaíno over the second. 1 hit, no run, 1 left. At the end of 1, no score. Fouled it out of play, and the count is evened up.
You know, Harry, there are a lot of senior citizens in this area, and they do cater to them here at the ballpark. And with that in mind, one of the noted senior citizens around WGN is having a birthday today.
Who's
Arnie
that?
Harris.
No kidding.
Yes.
Well, too bad he didn't tell me I'd have bought him a cake. Here's a high pop fly on the infield. And who's going to get it? Whoa, he almost stumbled on the mound. Dave Magadan. That'd been easy to lose your stride on that one.
It is a windy night here in, well, close to Fort Lauderdale or Miami. Take your choice. And Dave Magadan, in either event, had a hard time with this one as he crossed over the mound and was barely able to make the catch. So when the ball gets above the stands, it's really being taken by the wind, and it should be adventuresome both in the infield and outfield.
Dwight Smith hitting 7th tonight. Well, I tell you, Sammy Sosa's been coming up with men on base a lot, and he's been in a slump. And that's the reason why Jim Lefevre's changed his lineup around. Well, he had a weak swing of that one.
I think also, Harry, Jim was a little upset with the pitch selection of Sammy Sosa last night. He wasn't as patient as he wants him to be. He swung at a lot of first pitches in situations with runners at third base and only 1 out. And he really got himself out a lot on the pitcher's pitch. And he wants Sammy to be just a little more selective and maybe work the count some. So he felt that Sammy was pressing, and so he decided to give him the night off.
Slow curve over the outside corner. I don't know whether that was a curve. I think he turned that pitch over a little bit.
That's his straight change, and so far it's been a good one.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Plate umpire Larry Vanover. Harry Wendell set at first. Angel Hernandez at second, and Ed Rapuano at third. Wild one, low and inside. Good save by Benito Santiago.
Although Santiago is having some trouble throwing out base runners at second, that's not the case with base runners at third. He's thrown out 4 out of 8 who have tried to steal third against him, and through all of this, he still is one of the best in the business in picking out pitches out of the dirt.
Now the 2-2 pitch. Sounds foul. Let me ask you something.
Okay.
I remember you when you used to have that hair over your face and the Fu Manchu mustache.
Never had an earring, no.
Did you ever? Well, that's what I want to
No, no, never wore an earring. Those were the days, Harry, when you really didn't wear earrings a whole lot. Or your social life might have suffered somewhat.
There's a foul ball out of play. Well, what does it connote today? What's it mean if you wear an earring, that you're well off or something?
I just think that it's much more socially acceptable today, as you can see on Benito Santiago and on Louis Aquino. And you see it a lot on NFL players and NBA players. So I guess that it's a fashion statement.
Boy, that's a little tap. He sawed the bat off right in his hand. And Dwight Smith's an easy out from Aquino to Destrana. And boy, I tell you, we've seen 2 pitchers with the Marlins last night and tonight that augur well for the future of this franchise.
The Marlins have had very little trouble with their pitching, especially out of the bullpen. Unlike Colorado, who can't get anybody out, the Marlins have had some trouble scoring. As you look at the ace of the bullpen, Brian Harvey, who can really throw. Harry, he's got to have the best forkball in the game right now.
I still think he's got to be with a team that's got a chance to win. He's about 31 years old. He's not young enough to be around when an expansion team wins a pennant. And I know a lot of general managers must want to get Brian Harvey on their team.
You know, everybody said that he would wind up in Atlanta. But yet Mike Stanton has done such a great job in short relief that I would think that they wouldn't want to give up 2 or 3 of their best young prospects to get Brian Harvey. But when it comes down to the pennant race in August, if a team needs a short reliever, here's a man who can really help you.
Here's a pitch in there, strike called. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Wilkins. Nothing out of 2 last night. Twice was intentionally passed. Low, ball 3. Now here's a situation. 2 out, nobody on base. The pitcher coming up next. You almost find yourself going after a bad pitch. There's a line drive into center field for a base hit. The only thing that hit does is give you a chance to start the 3rd inning with your leadoff man. Hibbert, I don't think he's had a hit, has he? Nothing out of 16.
He's still looking for his first, and this might be the time he gets it, Harry, because Aquino doesn't throw all that hard. And maybe he'll get an off-speed pitch or a fastball down the middle and hit it to left.
Snap throw, look out, boy. There's throwing from your knees from a squatting position.
Santiago loves to go behind the left-hand hitter and pick the man off first base. We saw that a lot with San Diego. And so if you stray off the bag, you had better get back in a hurry.
2 men around, a runner at first. He hits the ball hard, foul by 190 feet.
As they say, the ball was never fair.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out.
I would think that Conine would want to move a little closer to the left field line, judging by that swing of Hibbert.
And I would imagine all those outfielders ought to be in closer. There's a little liner to the second baseman. Catches it in the air to retire the side. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. We go in the bottom of the 2nd, no score.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now direct your attention to the jumbo.
Harry Carey and Steve Stone We're in the bottom of the second, no score. Greg Hibbert against Luis Aquino. There's Mike Harkey. A very upset pitcher last night. You know, if you'd seen that game last night, you'd have swore the team that lost the game should have won it 7-0, or maybe more. All 5 runs after 2 were out. The first 3 were taken care of by Ryan Bowen, the pitcher, who tripled on a line drive up the middle of the diamond. How in the world it became a triple, I can't understand. He singled the center, but he actually tripled home 2 runs.
Terry, I've never seen a ball go to the left of the shortstop on a natural grass surface and go all the way to the wall for a 3-base hit. That is one of the most unusual plays in baseball. But the game was really lost in the 8th inning with runners at 2nd and 3rd and only 1 out, 2nd and 3rd and no outs, and Cubs couldn't score.
There's a pitch low. Well, Sosa was up another time with only 1 out and tapped out. And they didn't score another run that inning.
I thought after the error by Junior Felix, they really opened the door in the 8th inning that the Cubs were going to barge through and score 2 or 3.
There's a high fly ball. Coming in, Willie Wilson. He's there. 1 out.
Cub fans tired of spending your evenings on the couch? Well, then get your group of 20 or more and spend an evening at beautiful Wrigley Field. Group sales are available for every night game this season, and don't miss a chance to get your friends and spend an evening rocking and rolling at Wrigley. For more information, call the group sales office at 312-404-CUBS.
Junior Felix. You know, he had fanned 38 times already this year when he hit that 2-run homer last night with a count 0-2. And that's the way he looked on the first 2 strikes.
Well, we talked about trying to stay away from a home run hitter in a home run situation where the home run can beat you. And Paul Asemacher just didn't do it. He got the ball up and out over the plate. It was supposed to be a waste pitch. The waste pitch, perhaps the worst pitch in the game, because if you think you got a guy out on a certain pitch, throw it. Don't waste any.
There's a line drive, center field, base hit. Junior Felix lines a single to center.
There's a look at Vada Pinson, the first base coach, who was an outstanding hitter for the Cincinnati Reds during his playing days. We got Cookie Rojas, one of the smartest players who ever played the game. There is a look at Cookie, the third base coach.
Outside, Jeff Conine hitting .293, 1 homer, 13 RBI. Conine had 1 out of 4 last night. Runner at first, 1 away. And the count evened up.
They drafted Jeff Conine in the first round with their 11th pick. And he came from the Kansas City Royals organization. They got him because of his bat in the minor leagues. The Marlins think he will hit some home runs here.
Fastball is high. 2 balls and a strike.
Now Hibbert does give up the long ball, and he does not want to get the ball out over the plate where Conine can extend his arms, because it's 330 down the line in left and only 361 to the power alley.
Double play ball. Out at second. Out at first. 4-6-3. I think Sandberg could have caught on the line, but he realized he wouldn't get the double play that way, so he fielded on the pickup and got the double play. At the end of 2, no score.
This one goes as a 4-6-3, and it's a relatively easy double play, and CarX helps put the brakes on cancer with a $100 contribution to Cubs Care, as Jeff Conine easily doubled at first base, and Greg Hibbert and the Cubs out of the 2nd inning.
Harry Carey going to the third with the Aflac trivia question. It's time for tonight's Aflac. And here's the question. Which catcher holds a record for the longest consecutive game hitting streak? Johnny Bench, Carlton Fisk, Thurman Munson, none of the above.
I know the answer to this one, but I am not going to give it away.
Here's Willie Wilson taking a strike. And now he's in the hole. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I give you a hint, though, Harry. It is not Harry Cheedy.
Is he the guy that went to school with you?
No.
Thurman Munson?
It is not Thurman Munson. And it's not
Carlton Fisk?
And it's not Carlton Fisk.
Here's a ground ball
clue.
foul.
And it also is not George Mitterwald. That's another clue.
You mean we have to settle for Johnny Bench?
And it's not Johnny Bench. That's another clue.
Well, then it's none of the above.
Yes, but who is it? That's the question.
Well, that's none of the above is the answer. If you're right. Whoa, he hit himself on the knee. Oh, he's in pain with a foul ball.
Very rarely will you see a foul ball that hits a hitter that high up on the leg. And unfortunately for Willie, it looked like it got him right in the knee. As we'll take another look at it, you see it right there. It's actually above the right knee, and he is in pain. He's hobbling around.
He's up, though.
He is up.
He's bending. He's genuflecting at the knees. And I think he's going to stay in the ballgame.
John Fierro coming out to have a word with him, and I think it might have got him in the fleshy part above the knee, and that would be the only break that Willie Wilson catches on this very painful at bat.
You know, they always, all references of baseball players today are about youth. Here's a guy, 37 years old, can outrun everybody on the ball club. And he's still a good ball player. And why he doesn't play as much as he maybe could is the fact that he is 37 years old. 1 ball, 2 strikes. We're in the third. No score. Now Aquino out of Puerto Rico. Willie Wilson flied out his first time. Had a good cut, fouled it back.
I don't think Willie Wilson wants to see another inside fastball, because twice he's taken inside fastballs off his leg. And Aquino has shown an ability to move the ball in and out very well. In fact, he's thrown the ball inside to the left-handers with regularity. And that's probably the toughest pitch for a right-hand pitcher to make.
Struck him out on a pitch in the dirt. He's limping a little bit. 1 out. First strikeout for Aquino.
That was a very good breaking ball low and in, and Willie Wilson had no chance. His only chance was to take it for a ball. But watch Santiago, who, as we've said, is about the best in the business at blocking these pitches, and he picks it up on the hop, throws to first, and Willie's a strikeout victim.
You see the expression of Wilson's face, like a grimace of pain. Vizcaíno flied out his first time up. 1 ball, no strikes. That evens it up. A windy night here in Florida, Fort Lauderdale. Hot shot. First baseman finally picks it up. Past the wall. Vizcaíno on his way to second. Round second holds up. That probably will give him a hit and an error on the first baseman, Destrada. He hit the ball like a shot off Destrada's glove. He couldn't locate the ball at first, recovered, and threw it past Aquino.
Destrada is just an average first baseman, and when he can't find the ball here, Jose, thinking that he had a base hit, streaking down the line. A bad throw, and Jose on his way to second. Now, the fault here, or one of the fault here, belongs to Santiago, who did not hustle down the first baseline. Normally, a catcher is going to follow the hitter down the first baseline if there's a play there. If Santiago is behind the play at first, Vizcaino cannot go to second. As it is, the Cubs have a chance to score a run as Santiago stayed behind the plate, and that's a mistake.
Grace takes it outside. They call it an error all the way. No hit for Vizcaino. Grace singles first time up, a shot in the right field.
That's error number 5 on Destrade, which is a high total for a first baseman early in the season.
Ground ball right to him. He's got it. Steps on the bag. 2 out. And Vizcaino goes to third. And here comes Ryan Sandberg. He beat out an infield hit in the first. He's hitting .284.
Number 23, the second baseman, Ryan Sandberg.
He has stolen 1 base. Nothing. We're in the top of the third. Curveball in there, a beauty, a strike call. He's got a good breaking ball, this Aquino.
And here's where the pressure will fall on Santiago, because if Aquino tries to get a little too much on that curveball, he's liable to throw one in the dirt, and he's got 2 wild pitches already this year.
Outside. Santiago wears a peculiar number, 09. I've seen a O on the back, a double O even, but 09 I can't recall. Oh, low and outside, another fine save by Santiago.
We talked to you about the curveball, and the reason why he's wearing 09, Harry, is that when he was wearing just the number 9, he felt that that strap going down the middle of his back was uncomfortable against his number for whatever reason. So with the 09, that strap runs right in the middle, not over the number, and he feels more comfortable.
There's the pitch low and away. Ball 3. For the life of me, I cannot understand how a strap over your shoulder would bother you because it's over your number, unless it be that nobody could recognize you because they can't see your number.
I have no idea either, but if it makes Benito happy, so be it. He wore the same number with the Padres, and then he went to the 09 because of the strap. So perhaps, like the earring, Harry, it just might be a fashion statement.
3-1 the count. He walked him. And here's Derek May. He flied out his first time up. May had 1 out of 5 last night. Nothing out of 4 the night before. That's 1 out of 9. 1 out of 12. 1 out of 13 and 1 out of 14.
What better way to break out of it than a base hit right here that would score the initial run of the ball game.
Runners on the corners. Whoa, he had a good cut, but he missed.
Now, Jim Lefevre has a decision with Ryan Sandberg. You know the catcher's in a throwing slump, so you can run with Sandberg. However, if you keep Sandberg at first, then you keep the hole open on the right side of the infield between Destrade and Renteria. So let's see what Lefevre has in mind with Sandberg at first, who is a pretty good base runner.
Runners first and third. Takes over to third, whirls around. Well, I think that's the first time we've ever seen that play.
Oh, certainly. You know, I saw it work in one of the highlights, Harry, in the American League.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Who was it?
Can't remember who did it, but it did work this year.
Hot shot, base hit. Down the line, the run is in. Maybe 2. Maybe Sandberg will come around. Here he comes. They hold him up at third base. May drives in the first run of the night with a double down the right field line.
RBI number 29 for Derek May, and when Destrade comes off the bag with Sandberg, Derek hits it right by him. We've talked many times about the first baseman being the only man moving as the ball comes toward home plate. And when you're holding a runner on, if you move off the bag too far with a left-hand hitter up, he can go down the line behind you, and that's exactly what happened on the 6th double of the year for Derek May.
Here's Buechele. Strike call, a fastball. Buechele had a good night. On base every time up. Had a triple and a double last night. Runners second and third. Whoa, almost hit him. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1-0 in favor of the Cubs. Last night they led 2-0. Now ready. A ball and a strike. A little tap. That ought to be easy. Over to first to retire the side. 1 run scored. There were 1 hit, 1 error, and 1 left.
For centuries, the Clydesdale has been known as a special breed.
Harry Carey with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman, who'll be along at the end of this half inning. Sammy Sosa comes into play right field, and Dwight Smith shifts over to center, and Willie Wilson, who was hurt. And you could tell when he swung and struck out, the pain that showed on his face. Here's a long drive, left center field, way back, off the wall. And Walt Weiss pulls up in second base. A switch hitter, hitting right-handed. Hit Hibbert's first pitch against the left center field wall.
Walt Weiss is already proving to be a thorn in the side of the Cub pitching. He's 3 for 4 in the 2 games. He gets a curveball. We told you, when the wind is blowing in, for whatever reason, it blows out to left field. And I know that doesn't make sense, but the wind spirals in this ballpark. So although the flags in center tell you it's blowing at home plate, to left field, it's a gale. And if you get anything up in the wind, it's going a long way, as Walt Weiss hit one off the wall, his 2nd double in as many nights.
And Aquino is up there now to sacrifice. He bunts. The only play, first base. Nice recovery by Mark Grace. Aquino almost butted the ball by him towards second base.
Well, here's the responsibility of Mark Grace. With Hibbert going to the line at third, that means Buechele went back to the bag at third. You see Hibbert to the line, and Grace has the whole middle of the diamond. It takes a first baseman with good mobility in this defensive scheme to be able to make that play, and Mark Grace is as good as it gets at first.
So Chuck Carr, who started the ball game with a safe bunt. Here's the answer to the Aflac trivia question.
The man behind the plate, Harry, for the Florida Marlins.
None of the above's answer.
Benito Santiago.
Oh.
34 straight in 87.
Well, how come they didn't put his name down? We didn't know that.
They wanted to fool everybody. It would have been too easy that way. That was in his rookie year.
Well, I was right. It was none of the above. Infield in. He had a swing and he missed it, and now he's in the hole 0-2. Now, Hibbert's not a strikeout pitcher. But if there's ever a situation in which a pitcher needs a strikeout, this is one. There's a difference between them tying the score. 1 out, a runner at third. Hey, struck him out. All 3 pitches. All 3 changes. Maybe we learned something last night.
Well, Carr has now struck out 24 times, and watch the front leg. He looks like Sadahara O from the Japanese home run fame. But
you're too young. That's the way Mel Ott used to hit.
Well, he didn't strike out quite that much, I don't think.
All right, 2 away. Renteria, the second baseman, takes the pitch low. 1-0 in favor of the Cubs. We're in the bottom of the third. Well-pitched ball game. Renteria had a swing and miss. Unusual to have it so windy.
It would be a very good job of pitching by Greg Hibbert to get out of this, if he can, with a 1-run lead.
Now the pitch. Line foul. into the Cubs bullpen.
Cub fan Summers here, and what better way to spend a warm summer day than with a trip to Wrigley Field. Join the Cubs as they battle Barry Bonds and the Giants, or spend Memorial Day weekend with the Cubs as they face the Montreal Expos. For tickets, call 831-CUBS.
Here's a pitch in the dirt. Great save by Rick Wilkins. So 2 out, runner at third. Cubs lead 1-0.
Wilkins is getting better and better at blocking low pitches, and this one saves a run as the curveball dips down, and Wilkins making sure that he can get his body on the ball and keep the ball in front of him. Definitely saves that one from going to the screen.
Bouncing ball. Tough play. He's out. Good play by Vizcaíno, throwing out Renteria to end the inning. No runs, 1 hit. 1 man left. Harry Carey from Miami. We're at the end of 3. The Cubs lead 1-0.
Hi again, everybody. Back with our birthday boy, our producer, director, Arnie Harris and Steve Stone. I'm Tom Brenneman, Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami. And the Cubs opening up a 1-0 lead. And I tell you, this looks like it could be a pretty good pitcher's duel tonight. Aquino looks to have good stuff. So does Hibbert.
Hibbert did a very good job, Tom, of getting out of that 3rd inning with the lead. And the Cubs have got to get the offense rolling against a man who's thrown the ball pretty well in Louis Aquino. He's moving the ball in and out, Tom, and he looks pretty sharp tonight. But so does Hibbert, who hasn't walked anybody.
Dwight Smith, Rick Wilkins, Greg Hibbert, the latter third of the Cub batting order, due up here in the 4th inning. Smitty taking one, a strike knee high on the inside corner. He thought it was low. You can read his lips say that was down. Smith 0 for 1, his only time up. He bounced out to the pitcher Aquino. Outfield straight away. Checked his swing and didn't go around. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cubs entering play tonight. They lost ground in the standings with that 5-3 defeat at the hands of these Marlins last night. 4th place in the National League East. 7.5 behind the Phillies. Only a half game, however, out of 3rd. St. Louis is there with Montreal 2nd, 5.5 back. Do it for Smith. Strikeout number 2 for Aquino.
Aquino's had the ability to throw the fastball inside to the left-hand hitters, and when you keep it in there on Dwight Smith, he's got a problem. Watch this fastball. It is absolutely perfect, and Dwight's having a hard time getting his hands out. I think he would be wise to talk to Billy Williams about the adjustment he made with Derek May on those inside fastballs, and it might help Dwight get around on that one a little more quickly.
Strike one to catcher Rick Wilkins. Let's step aside for his station ID on the Cubs television network.
This is WGN-TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
Wilkins lets a fly ball in the right field. Junior Felix can't find it, and it's over his head. Wilkins will go into second base. Throw is offline, and for the 2nd consecutive night, Junior Felix has badly misplayed a routine fly ball in right field. Last night, it almost cost his team the game.
Well, unless he's got a nickname of Moose, he's experiencing a lot of boos here in Fort Lauderdale. And he takes a couple of steps in, and he looks at Chuck Carr, and he says, "Where is it?" Chuck says, "Well, I'll get it on the hop," but not before Wilkins goes into second base, and he's 2 for 2. So Felix having all kinds of problems, and they got him because he could swing the bat. I don't think they got him for his defensive prowess.
Or if they did, they made a bad mistake. Hibbert, they're going to let him swing away. He looks at a strike. Hibbert popped up to Rich Renteria's first trip. Hibbert 0 for 17 as a batter this season. A good cut right there, but came up empty. Stoney, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing terrific, Arnie.
Oh,
I'm doing
okay.
terrific.
I see where they. Boy, there's a lot of people rubbing off on other people up in this booth.
Well, I was thinking, Tommy, of the thing I was going to get for Arnie for his birthday today. And it was a couple of movies. I was going to get him On Golden Pond, which I think he could use almost as a Well, a reminder of what it'll be like in the twilight years. And also, after his boat ride today with Mandy, I was going to get him the Old Man in the Sea. Because Arnie, with the white legs, white shorts, and white everything else on the boat, had to be some sight to behold.
Strike 3 there to Hibbert. And there are 2 down in the inning. Jeez, oh Pete's. Arnie calls me Dan. You call me Arnie. Harry calls me Thom. This is quite a crew I work with up here. What the heck's going on?
You're just an unforgettable character, Bill.
Here's Sammy Sosa batting for the first time tonight since taking over for Willie Wilson. Wilson fouled a ball hard off his knee, striking out in the 3rd inning, and had to leave the game. Smith originally started in right. He goes right to center, and Sosa inserted to the game. Jim Lefevre none too pleased with Sammy Sosa's performance last night. And not that he made some key outs, but the way he made the outs. Swinging it the first pitch 3 different times. Left a runner at 3rd twice with less than 2 men out. And the big one, of course, was in the 8th inning. Runners at 2nd and 3rd, none out in a tie game, and he bounced a little dribbler to shortstop Walt Weiss.
Sammy's a couple pitches deep in the count, and now he's got Aquino where he wants him, which is 2-0. If he gets a fastball up and out over the plate, Sammy should have a pretty good swing.
2 down, and lined hard into left field, but room for Conine, and he makes the grab, which ends the threat. 1 hit, 1 left, middle of the 4th at Joe Robbie Stadium, and the Cubs lead the Marlins 1-0. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Cubs leading by a run. It came in the 3rd thanks to a pair of errors, a change of scoring decision in between innings, giving Orestes Destrade 2 errors on the ball hit by Vizcaíno. And then Jose scored on a double by Derek May. So 3-4-5 against Hibbert, and Santiago on the first pitch drills 1 to center.
Are you looking for a unique Cubs gift that you can't get anywhere else? And don't miss an opportunity to purchase a one-of-a-kind Cubs merchandise during the Cubs' first ever memorabilia home shopping special on Sunday, May 30th on WGN TV. Watch as we explore the magic and memories of Cubs baseball during the hour-long home shopping special beginning at noon on May 30th here on WGN Channel 9, and join the Willie Loman of baseball broadcasters, the old huckster, Ron Santo, as he takes you through that unique hour.
Oh, boy. Willie Loman.
I was reaching way back for that.
You were reaching way back.
You have to be a literary sort to get that.
Yes, you do.
Bob?
Boy, should have never said a word. Quick throw down to first, and Santiago back. All right. We got a long, long summer ahead.
It's a long, hot summer.
Yes, it is.
Well, I think it was kind of Mandy to get Arnie a birthday gift, even though you and I did forget. She got him a bag of apples and some polygrip, and you got to admit, that was really kind of her.
Very thoughtful. This should be 2. No, it's in the left center. Santiago comes to 3rd. Boy, oh boy, right between the wickets of Vizcaíno. That one hurt.
Oh, that turns the whole inning around and maybe the game around for Greg Hibbert. A double play ground ball, which is exactly what you need, and you get it. It's a 2-hopper, and it flattens out right under the glove of Vizcaíno. And what looked so promising for Greg Hibbert getting out of this inning, or at least 2 outs and nobody on, turns into runners at the corners now and nobody out, as Jose commits error number 5.
And now you face the best hitter in this Marlin order, although he is facing a left-hander. We're talking about Dave Magadan. Fly to center field, his only time up.
Cookie Rojas having a word with Benito Santiago at 3rd base.
Magadan 14 driven in, and he looks at a strike.
There's a good look at Cookie, who was a second base counterpart to Bobby Wine at Philadelphia in the days of Wine and Rojas many years ago with the Phillies.
And a great guy. Saw him a lot last season, and when he was doing so much scouting for these Marlins. Real gentleman. Cuban native. 0-1 to Magadan. And it goes to 0-2 as he fouls it off.
And the one thing that Magadan has never been able to do is run. He has grounded into one double play this year. And the Cubs will trade the run for the double play if they can get the ground ball. Magadan has been fairly easy to strike out this year, although normally he does get the bat on the ball. He's fanned 17 times and 138 at-bats. As we pan around and you take a look at the Cubs' inner defense.
Santiago at third. Destrade at first. Nobody out. Cubs leading 1-0 last of the fourth. In the left center field. And May got it. Tagging at third and coming in is Santiago. It is a tie ball game on Magadan's 15th run batted in.
Pretty good play by Derek May as he comes in for this sinking line drive. And he does the right thing. He gets the ball into second base. Good catch right here. This is an easy ball to lose in the lights because it did not get up very high, and it's the second sacrifice fly of the year for Magadan, and you see the score tied at 1.
Destrade staying at first. Few boos for Junior Felix after committing the two-base error in the top of this inning. Of course, they booed him when he came to bat in the 8th last night. After he had committed an error. No, that wasn't an error earlier in this inning. I apologize. It went as a double, but he badly misplayed it. He did commit a key error last night in the 8th inning. Then in the bottom of the 8th, went from goat to hero with a 2-run bomb to left field off Paul Ossenmacher, which was the game winner. This might be 2. Buechele, Sandberg, Grace. It is an inning-ending double play. So the error hurts Hibbert. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error, nobody left. 1-1 game. Go to the 5th. Tom Brenneman back with Steve Stone at Joe Robbie Stadium outside of Miami. It is a 1-1 ball game as we're set to begin the 5th. Aquino against Vizcaino, followed by Grace and Sandberg. 1 pitch and 1 out.
Take a look at this pivot at second base as Oreste Destrade tries to take out Ryne Sandberg on a double play. Carex helps with the Brakes on Cancer with a $100 contribution to Cubs Care. And watch Destrade try to roll Sandberg. He doesn't get the job done, and the Cubs get out of the inning.
Wind really kicking up here at Joe Robbie Stadium tonight. Been blowing all over the place. Another gorgeous day, however. Here in South Florida, temperatures close to 90 degrees, sun shining brightly. It has been just beautiful here the first 2 days of our trip. Good looking ballpark here. I made a comment. I was here for the Super Bowl back at the end of the '89 season. Covered that as Grace Lyons won the car, and I had said then and said ever since that this was the nicest stadium I had ever been in. A little bit different for baseball. It seats almost 74,000, and they cover a lot of seats through right and in the center and left field in the upper deck, but it's still pretty cozy for Major League Baseball.
Well, they decided, Tom, that they were going to cut off all the seats in the outfield for baseball, and one of the reasons is that they wanted to keep down season ticket sales so they could have a lot of walk-in, and they felt that it would be accessible to everybody who wanted to come to a game. And they could make this a very big stadium. Obviously, they could do just about what Colorado has done at Mile High, which is average 60,000 fans a game. But quite frankly, those seats up there in left center and right center field aren't too good for baseball. And they decided to make it a little more intimate.
Sandberg chops one to Walt Weiss. And Aquino has his first 1-2-3 inning of the night. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Marlins and Cubs are tied at 1. Yes, they have their own team now here in the state of Florida. A lot of young Marlin fans, and that's what baseball is all about. Generation after generation following the hometown team, and now that has been born here and beginning to breed in Miami. 1-1 ball game. And there's a strike from Hibbert to Jeff Conine, 1-1. Conine bounced into a 4-6-3 twin killing, ending the second. Hammered into left, but it'll hook foul. Boy, that ball was hit a ton, and Conine carries with him a big, hardy bat.
Hibbert has given up 8 home runs this year. And fortunately for the Cubs, that was not number 9, as Conine got around just a little too quickly and drove it well foul.
Strike 3 called, a hook on the inside corner that Conine thought was low. That is strikeout number 2 for Greg Hibbert.
Larry Vanover thought it was good enough. Jeff Conine thought it was inside. Maybe just by 6-8 inches. But Greg Hibbert will certainly take that, because that retires a pretty good hitter.
Walter Weiss doubled his first time up off the scoreboard in left center. Updated report, Willie Wilson left the game, and we understand it is a bruised right knee. His status is listed as day-to-day. A lot of people that saw Walt Weiss play regularly in the American League will tell you, and he was a Rookie of the Year over there for the Athletics, that when he's healthy, he is a very fine player. Been hurt most of his career, but appears to be healthy this season and came in with a .315 batting average.
I thought this team was put together very intelligently by Dave Dombrowski. You have to be strong up the middle, Tom. That is conventional baseball wisdom. And the Marlins really have done that. When you look at their team, you see Walt Weiss at shortstop. You see Benito Santiago, 2 established major league players, with Santiago behind the plate. They got Brett Barbary, who is a very good player, but he's injured. He's their normal second baseman. And they got a real good defensive center fielder in Chuck Carr. So they are very strong up the middle.
Strike 3 called, and terrific breaking pitch there by Hibbert. He has back-to-back strikeouts here in the 5th, 3 total for the game.
That's one of the better curveballs you'll see from Greg Hibbert, who, but for the trade for Gary Scott and Alex Arias, would be pitching for the Fighting Fish here in Florida.
They can say that about their baseball and football teams. Chopped foul, the stadium, and of the Miami Dolphins, and there certainly are signs of that all over. Retired numbers and names through left field, which is the sideline in this stadium when they play football. Paul Warfield up from your neck of the woods. Larry Zonka, Bonacani still lives down here.
And Cleveland Browns fans still can't forget Paul Warfield was a Brown. And an Ohio State Buckeye.
You got it. And a native Ohioan.
Where Woody Hayes, in his infinite wisdom, I think threw him something like 10 passes in 4 years.
Yeah. See, I can't say anything about it, you know, because we're piped into Columbus, and I go there a lot in the wintertime. Somebody will kill me there. 3 strikeouts in the 5th inning for Hibbert, all looking all on breaking balls. We go to the 6th. Good ball game, tied at 1. It is a 1-1 ball game at the end of 5 from Joe Robbie Stadium. I'm Tom Brenneman, along with Steve Stone, our producer director Arnie Harris, working hand in hand down there with Joe Cornejo, and Mandy Cohen is with us in the booth. Arnie Harris's 72nd or 73rd birthday today. We're not sure which.
The old man in the sea. Reeling in those big ones off the end of Mandy's spacious yacht today.
It's a big one, I'll tell you that. Derek May, a broken bat dribbler down to Estrada. He can't find it. Now he does, and gets it to Aquino in time. Didn't look like Derek was getting down the line much right there. He might have had a chance to beat it out.
Well, Aquino keeps breaking bat after bat by keeping the ball inside to the left-hand hitters, and nobody can get their arms out. Derek not really hustling down the line, as Destrade having some problems making the transition from Japanese ground balls to American ground balls here in Joe Robbie Stadium.
A lot tougher to read.
Oh, there's no question.
Yes. Harold. So now the batter is Steve Buechele, a little bit low for ball one.
You're obviously referring to Harold Parrott, the relief pitcher from so many years back.
Now with Colorado. No, I was calling you Harold.
Yes,
Buechele is drilled by Aquino, and he's aboard for the first time tonight.
That's the first hit batsman by Louis Aquino, and the first time Steve Buechele's been hit.
Center fielder Dwight Smith.
Aquino's been going inside all night, and he's thrown some pretty good pitches. This one obviously not meant to be quite that close, as you don't want to hit anybody in a 1-1 ball game. So the Cubs now have an opportunity, but Dwight Smith has had some problems getting his arms out on a succession of inside fastballs by Louis Aquino.
Smith has rolled to the mound and struck out. 1-1 game. 1 run, 5 hits for the Cubs. 1 run, 4 hits for the Marlins. Smitty had to wonder what in the world was going on when he looked at the lineup card upon arriving today to Joe Robbie Stadium and seeing that he was batting 7. Must have said, they know what I'm hitting around here. I'm at 372.
I think, though, Tom, that ideally this would be a bigger RBI spot for him.
Runner going, and now he's caught. Back to first. And they get him. That must have been a missed hit and run.
I got to believe that that was a hit and run, because Steve Buechele is not going to remind anybody of Ricky Henderson or Vince Coleman. This throw right on the button, and Dwight Smith didn't even offer, and so we'll never know if Dwight missed the hit and run, but that's certainly what it looked like. I don't think you're going to straight steal with Steve Buechele.
3-0 to Dwight Smith. Waiting on deck, catcher Rick Wilkins. And it's ball 4. That is the second walk of the game issued by Aquino. He's hit a batter while fanning 3 and allowed the 1 run on 5 Cubs hits.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has a right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited.
One on, 2 down. Wilkins a perfect night. Single to center in the second, double to right in the fourth. That was the ball, though, as it's thrown down to first, and they almost got it. Santiago does that better than any catcher in the league.
Well, we talked about Santiago loving with a left-hand hitter up, and the base runner screened to go behind him and throw to the bag. Estrade in front of the bag, and the call by Harry Wendelstedt, and you have to be alive if you're on base.
Getting ready to say a moment ago, the double for Wilkins was the one Junior Felix lost, I guess, in the lights. Couldn't find it and dropped behind him. I guess. But who knows, really, in the grand scheme of things.
Still, it will not be the most creative excuse ever made for losing a fly ball, as we've talked about this a few times. That belongs to Jose Cardinal, undisputed, who said that he lost a fly ball at Wrigley Field in a 747 flying over from O'Hare Airport. And they just don't get any more creative than that.
I hear you. Out of the way, got a piece of Santiago. Count goes to 1-2.
Number 1 draft choice of the Florida Marlins, Charles Johnson out of the University of Miami, is a promising young catcher in the system. As we'll take a look at Santiago catching this one off the left shoulder. And there's no padding there, folks. And I started as a catcher as a very young man. I caught for 4 years. And I took a couple of those off the point of the shoulder, and I will tell you, that's one of the reasons why I took off what they term the tools of ignorance and moved to the mound. Because that hurts, and it hurts for weeks. My shoulders are still swollen.
They look a little swollen.
And I quit catching at 10 years old.
Oh, Smitty was leaning, and they almost got him on a throw over to first. Boy, Dwight was taking a running lead over there, and they almost got him.
So Pretty quick move, and Dwight is leaning the wrong way, and he is very lucky to get back.
So 2 down in a 1-1 game in the 6th.
To elaborate a little on Charles Johnson, they feel that if they can keep Santiago here for a couple of years and pay him a few bucks, maybe a few bucks more than they wanted to, Tommy, but keep him here to help mold the staff. Charles Johnson is their catcher of the future, and this young man has unlimited potential. He looks like he's going to be able to hit and hit for power and throw with the best of them. But right now, he's still a few years away.
You know, they almost didn't get him signed. It went down to the final few days before he could have re-entered the next draft. Pitch out, runner goes. Santiago is thrown in the dirt. And Smith will come on to third base. That'll be a throwing error against Santiago. 3rd miscue defensively for the Marlins tonight.
Well, Santiago has not thrown well all year, and he's only thrown out now 9 of 42 that have tried to steal against him. You get the pitch out, you just make a terrible throw. And Santiago, an unusual catcher in that he truly throws better from his knees than he does standing up. And now they got to walk. I'm having a hard time believing that they're not walking Wilkins.
Go-ahead run is only 90 feet away, and he struck him out on a breaking ball down and in. Well, they rolled the dice again. They pulled that move off last night in the 4th inning. 1 error, 1 left. We go to the bottom of the 6th, still even at 1. Who says Vero Beach belongs to the Dodgers? There are a few Cub fans up there.
There is a lot of Cub fans at the ballpark the last couple of days, and despite the fact, really, Tommy, that this area is not cabled very well for WGN. A lot of Cub fans down here, and last night they were chanting "Let's go Cubs" late in the game.
Top of the order here for the Marlins in the 6th inning in a 1-1 game as they retrieve the beach ball out of the right center field bleachers. What is that, a restaurant out there in right center?
That's a picnic area.
Oh.
Talking about the tiers up there?
Yeah.
That is a picnic area.
That's nice.
Oh, it's very nice. Great seat, and will be through the entire summer here, especially when the bugs start moving in.
Base hit for Chuck Carr, and well, now you got lots of things to think about. Carr, the National League stolen base king, has 19 on the year. He's only been thrown out 5 times.
Hibbert goes to the curveball, and Chuck Carr seems like he's looking for it as he drives it by Buechele. Now there's an instance, Tommy, where a man has a reputation as a bunter because he bunted his way on in the 1st inning. You bring the 3rd baseman in, and when you do swing away, no chance of getting the ground ball. If Buechele is back and off the line, he's got a chance at that one, but in on the grass, no chance at all.
There goes Carr on the first pitch, and it is a foul ball. Boy, Carr would have had that base stolen easily. He had a big lead and a tremendous jump.
A good friend of Yost Cuano here, Ray Floyd, a fine golfer, a man who has won many, many times, both on the regular tour and now on the seniors tour on occasion. Also one of the finest men you'll ever meet.
Native North Carolinian.
And some golfer.
See what Carr does here, staying put, and Renteria shows a bunt. The Marlins second baseman is 0 for 2.
Now, some good base runners will tell you it's easier to steal on a left-hander than a right-hander. Because if you look at the leg and you key off the front leg of the left-hand pitcher, when he comes back across the rubber, he's got to go home with it. Left-handed pitchers combat that with a low leg flip kick or slide step. And Hibbert has got to use the slide step here with Carr. Carr is just too fast and gets too good a jump. If Hibbert lifts the front leg, he's got no chance to get him.
Well, they pitch out there, and Carr not biting it.
Well, here's the one problem if you use the slide step, Tom, is that it's so quick. If you throw a pitch out, a runner can't get a jump, and you're just throwing one out of the strike zone, and now he's falling behind 2-1. So if you're throwing a pitch out, you can afford to maybe go a little bit higher and try to entice the runner to run.
Well, we noted last night, Carr takes as big a lead as you'll find among any base stealer in all of baseball. I mean, it is huge. Not that one. He'll show you the big lead here in a minute. And now Carr apparently wanting timeout. Going over to Vada Pinson. Boy, good player he was, wasn't he?
Vada Pinson could hit. And he did most of his hitting for the Cincinnati Reds.
Great guy as well.
Yes,
Saw him
sir.
at a lot of all-star old-timers games last year. Classy man.
They've assembled a very good crew here in Miami.
This might be two. Grace's throw to Vizcaino. He returns the favor, and they get the 3-6-3.
This is the third time tonight that Greg Hibbert has had the double play behind him, and Carrex helps put the brakes on Cancer with a 100 contribution to Cubs here. The throw is a little high to Vizcaino, but Renteria does not run very well, and he is easily doubled.
Later tonight on WGN, when a criminal mastermind spearheads a murder ring behind bars, a cop goes undercover to stop him. Jean-Claude Van Damme risks his life in Death Warrant tonight at 10:30 on WGN Channel 9. One of the great movies of all time coming your way after the ball game tomorrow on Channel 9. Robert Redford and Paul Newman in The Sting.
That is an exceptional movie.
Well foul, but Santiago hit it a ton.
We will be playing a day game tomorrow. The finale of this series. Leadoff man at 12 o'clock. And Tommy, I think that we have had entirely too much fun up here tonight, so think about that before you come back for that day game tomorrow.
Or we'll be reminded of it by somebody, I'm sure. Can't have too much fun. Chopped foul. And a pitching matchup in that game tomorrow. Two fine right-handers, young ones at that. Frank Castillo against Jack Armstrong.
Frank looking for his first win. Second win, excuse me. And an interesting thing about the Marlins, they have not won a series this year, but they have never been swept. So here's a team that doesn't put together any winning streaks or any losing streaks. And so the Cubs are hoping to even in this series here tonight so that they will not be the first victim of the Florida Marlins.
1-1 ball game, bases empty in the 6th inning, and Santiago slaps it foul the other way, still 0-2. Hibbert is allowed to run on 5 hits, fan 4, a season high, and that one is fair. Santiago will go into second base, his second hit of the game. And a good thing that 3-6-3 double play came around, and the Marlins would have a lead right now.
This is the 8th double of the year for Santiago, who's starting to tune it up. 1 for 4 last night. He's had 3 hits in the series. Now you have a power hitter hitting from the right side and first base open, so you have to be careful. We isolate on Buechele. He can't get to it down the line, so you have to be careful with Destrade, who's hitting 74 points higher from the right side than he is from the left.
Look out. That one smoked into the crowd. Hopefully nobody hurt.
You got a left-hander on deck in Dave Magadan. And so you can't give Destrade anything to pull here. Despite the fact that he has only 2 home runs, he is very strong.
Count of 1-1. Destrade has bounced into a 6-4 fielder's choice and reached on the air by Vizcaino, which allowed the Marlins to score their only run in the 4th inning. It is a 1-1 game. Santiago at second, last to the 6th.
Very good pitchers duel so far. Both pitchers showing good control. Both pitchers changing speeds beautifully.
Ooh, an off-speed pitch that had Estrada well out in front.
When they got Estrada back from Japan, they envisioned another Cecil fielder, but comparisons have not been favorable, and they're not fair to Estrada. He doesn't have the kind of awesome power of fielder. He can be a pretty good player, but he's not going to hit 40-plus home runs in the United States.
1 ball and 2 strikes. A go-ahead run at second base, and he struck him out on the breaking ball, which ends the inning. 2 hits, 1 left. Terry back into 7th at the end of 6. Still a 1-1 affair.
Hello again, everybody. Harry Carey with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman as we go in the top of the 7th of a fine pitching duel. It really should be 0-0. Instead, it's 1-1 because each team gave the other club a run on errors. So here's the first man to lead it off, Greg Hibbert.
I wonder if Hibbert thought about bunting the ball. That might be a pretty good idea.
He pops up on the first pitch. Here's Magadan making the catch. 1 out in the 7th. Hibbert pitching a fine ball game. Roland and Grace from Sarasota, Florida, watching the ball game here.
21.
And Kevin and Barb of Naples, Florida, on hand. 1 out. Here's Sammy Sosa.
I think Sammy's thinking about one thing here in a 1-1 game. He knows you have an inviting left field, and he's thinking about hitting it out. If he gets an off-speed pitch or a fastball up in the zone, he's going to take a rip at it.
There's the strike call. 1 strike and nothing. 1 out, nobody on. In this kind of game, if the visiting team doesn't score, all the advantage is with the home team. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sosa. It wasn't originally scheduled to play tonight, but Wilson got hurt. Base hit, left field. And there's the go-ahead run at first base. And Jose Vizcaíno.
Cubs saw last night that they don't want to let the Florida Marlins go into the late innings with a lead. Trevor Hoffman, Brian Harvey threw wall-to-wall gas against them. Now, here's a good opportunity for Jim Lefevre to use the hit and run, but not necessarily on the first pitch because it's too easy to pitch out. But somewhere in this sequence, with a pretty fast man and Sosa at first, and a good contact man, Vizcaíno up, look for the hit and run here.
Throw to first. Sammy is back. Boy, yesterday the Marlins scored all of 5 runs after 2 are out, and all 5 had 2 strikes on the hitter who drove in the runs. And the last one was a count of 0-2 to Junior Felix. There goes a runner. There's a peg in the center field. Get up. He was on his way to third base and Phil. He is in there safely. A stolen base. And you can see why Santiago's having trouble. He doesn't straighten up the throw. He tries to throw from his knees, and maybe he doesn't throw the ball as well that way.
Well, we've been saying for 2 days that you can exploit Benito Santiago. This is just another terrible throw. He's now thrown 2 balls into center field. And right now he's gunned down 9 out of the 43 men who have tried to steal against him, and that is well below Major League average. Sammy stealing his 4th base of the year, going all the way to third as this ball sails into center field, and the Cubs with a golden opportunity to take the lead.
Whoa! It's hit by a pitch ball. He's hobbling around. It's his right elbow, I think. Whoa, that might be costly. He's on his knees now. The pitch hit him on the right elbow, or left There is the left elbow.
Your arm just goes numb when you get hit like this, as Jose
right
gets it on the right elbow, and that's the throwing elbow, as you know. And right now there's very little feeling in his hand, and hopefully it got more of the meat than the bone, because that could be a very costly loss for the Cubs, with Vizcaino hitting around 350.
Vizcaino is nothing out of 3 tonight, but actually he hit a shot at the first baseman who knocked the ball down, and they gave him an error for knocking the ball down, another error for making a bad toss to the pitcher. John Fierro. Apparently he's going to have to leave the game. So that'll be 2 injuries in this ball game tonight for the Cubs.
I think they'll certainly look for some precautionary x-rays, and again, if it hit more of the meat than the bone, he'll be okay. It'll just be a bad bruise. We don't know right now exactly what it is, but he is definitely in a lot of pain as John Fierro helps him up. He's going to leave. They're going to put some ice on it, and Ray Sanchez is going to take his place at short and at first base.
So Sanchez will run and also play short for Vizcaino. Runners are on at first and third. Santiago has thrown badly twice to second base, as the Cubs have stolen 2 bases tonight. And here, Mark Grace.
And Marcel Latchman, the brother of manager Rene Latchman, comes out. Marcel is the pitching coach. He wants to talk with Aquino. The bullpen up and going. Aquino has done a pretty good job.
Let me ask you something. Let me have my own quiz.
Okay.
Name me the other pair of brothers on that ball team.
On the Marlin ball team?
No.
On what ball team?
American League ball team. At the same time.
Any American League team?
I'm thinking of the Farrell brothers. One a pitcher and one a catcher with the Cleveland Indians.
Okay.
And both pretty good.
Well, how about the Russell brothers?
They were with the Cubs, right?
How about the Marks brothers?
I liked them pretty well, too. All right, here is Grace with a chance to put the Cubs ahead. High pop foul out of play. Didn't have a very good cut.
Mark Grace has grounded into a team-high 6 double plays, but he has 6 sacrifice flies. And he's looking for something up in the strike zone that he can drive far enough to get the run home. Now, Felix has a strong arm in right field, but he's not always accurate.
Grace looks down at Chuck Cartier. The infield is back, hoping for a double play. Grace with 34 RBIs. Again, he fouls the ball towards left field into the stands, and he shakes his head a little bit. I think maybe Mark thought he should have hit that ball.
Grace has only fanned 5 times in 153 at-bats, and he's got to make some contact here. And from a pitching standpoint, Aquino, if he's got anything good left, he's going to try to strike out Mark Grace.
1 man out. Runners at first and third. Another beach ball is on the field. There are a lot of beaches around here, you know. Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, Miami Beach. I guess all the way north and all the way south. Homestead. All right, Grace with a count of 0-2. This is a key spot for Luis Aquino. And also for the Cubs. Ground ball base hit down the left field line. A runner is in. The Cubs are leading. Here's a runner trapping at third. A double for Grace. The third baseman, Magadan dived for the ball, got his glove on it, but it trickled away.
Aquino tried to throw a changeup away from Grace. You can't do that because he waits too well. And this is the 12th double of the year, the 35th run driven in. The Cubs have the lead. They got a chance to add some insurance, and they'd like to put a little daylight between themselves and the Marlins right here. This is a golden opportunity. And one of the league's leading RBI men, Mark Grace, adding to his total.
And so Mark with 35 RBIs. The infield is in now. Sandberg 1 out of 2 tonight. A base hit would add to the Cubs lead. Curveball low and outside. That ball wasn't hit too hard, but it was just hit perfectly down the third base line. Willie Keeler once said the idea is to hit them where they ain't. And Mark's done that very well all year. Ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes.
Infield in at all 4 positions. And this is a great hitting opportunity for Ryne Sandberg. He's driven in 9, and when they move in that close, there's no angles on any ground ball and a lot of room between the infield and the outfield for anything looping over their heads.
2 balls, the pitch. Fastball right down the middle. 2 balls and the strike. I'm a little surprised he wasn't hitting away that time. He had to be looking for a fastball, and that's what it was. 2 balls and the strike. Sandberg waiting. The pitch. High pop fly. Now wait a minute. The wind is carrying the ball, and Carr makes it in very sharp center. With the infield in, ordinarily the shortstop would have caught the ball in normal position, but Carr had to really run a mile to get to it.
Only the speed of Chuck Carr enabled him to make this catch, and by the time the wind batted the ball down, there was nothing in the world that anyone could do. And so a very big out, and let's see if they intentionally walk Derek May here to get to Steve Buechele. I would be very surprised if they don't.
Yes, they're going to walk him. That's why they pitched to Sandberg. They gambled on getting Sandberg, realizing he's really only been playing about 3 weeks like this, like spring training for him. And then knowing that if they got Sandberg, they'd have a place to put the dangerous left-hand hitting Derek May, who doubled in the first run and the third. And now the bases will be loaded for Steve Buechele, who has a knack also of driving into big runs.
Now Aquino has only completed 5 of his 65 career major league starts, and he's right at the 110 pitch mark. For him, that's deep into the ball game, and it could be that he is tiring somewhat, and hopefully Buechele will be able to take advantage of it. The Marlins have shown that they're not the best defensive club around.
Bases loaded. 2 out. 3-2 Cubs.
There's a look into the bullpen.
2-1 rather.
A righty and a lefty warming up.
Ooh, what a cut he had. 2-1 in favor of the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs with 7 hits. Florida with 6. Florida with 4 errors. 2 by Santiago. Bouncing foul, and he's in the hole. 0-2. I tell you, this Aquino is a good-looking pitcher. He's 27 years old. He's had a lot of experience. He's been in the American League 4, 5, 6 years.
Now you have to be heads up for the breaking ball in the dirt.
Listen to the crowd. In the dirt, a great save by Santiago.
Santiago is as good as there is at blocking pitches. And when you have confidence in your catcher, you can throw the big curveball in the dirt. 0-2. This one could have easily gotten by, which would have led to the 3rd Cub run, but for the heroics once again of Santiago. who goes a long way to block this one.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out, bases loaded. Cubs lead by 1. Hit him out. Joey tied this round. Again, the Cubs waste a great opportunity. 1 run, 2 hits, 1 error, 3 left. We go into the bottom of the 7th. The score: Cubs 2, Marlins 1. All right. This is our first trip into Miami. And I want to congratulate Wade Huizinga and his fine organization on this beautiful ballpark and you wonderful fans. So, join with me now. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's you're out at the old ball game. Hey! Dave Maganin has just singled to right to lead off the Marlins 7th. He had driven in the run, 1 run in the 4th with a sacrifice fly.
Maganin, a lifetime .293 hitter in the major leagues. Doesn't have any problems with the left-handers, and he's 1 for 2 off Hibbert. And now you start thinking about getting the bullpen up and going.
And they are. Bob Scanlon's working down there already.
Hibbert has thrown a fine ball game tonight. He's been ahead of all of the Marlin hitters. Jim Lefebvre coming out to have a word with him. Hibbert has not walked anybody, and he's had pretty good defensive support. The Cubs have turned 3 double plays behind him, and Lefebvre wants to kill a little time until Scanlon gets ready.
You know, he got Junior Felix hitting a double plays last time at bat. Let's pause here for station identification.
This is WGN-TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
Harry Carey back at Joe Robbie Stadium. Remember now, the news will follow the ball game. So stay with us. Junior Felix, 1 out of 2. The hero last night. He won the game with a 2-run homer. Behind on the count 0-2. He's hit the ball hard tonight. Throw to first. First time he singled. The next time he rolled into a double play, hitting the ball sharply to Steve Buechele. He tries to bunt, he bunts and foul. That was only the first pitch. Many times the manager will take the sacrifice sign off and let the hitter swing away.
Most unusual to see a man who does not have a sacrifice this year. But he does have 6 home runs, 4 from the right side, trying to lay down a bunt.
Hibbert. He's allowed 7 hits. Outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Hibbert has done it with a minimum of pitches, just 71 so far as Bob Scanlon continues to get loose. And it could be that regardless of what Hibbert does with Felix, he's going to come on to face Jeff Conine, who is a very powerful right-hand hitter. Keep the ball away from Felix here, and maybe you can get the ground ball.
You know, Hibbert has his career high, not career, but season high in strikeouts tonight. He has 5.
Felix has grounded into 3 double plays this year. Ray Sanchez playing fairly much up the middle for him.
2 balls and the strike. Now, Dane Magadan is not a fast runner. He's of average speed. He's the runner at first. 3 balls, 1 strike. Magadan is caught stealing once, the only time he tried. Double play ball. Throw to second to 1 over the first. A double play it is. Fine play all the way around. And what a great pivot by Ryan Sandberg. From Buechele, who had to go to his right for the sharply hit ball. 5-4-3. What a play that was to see.
This is the 4th double play of the night, and what an outstanding effort by Steve Buechele, who is a candidate for the Gold Glove at third. Here comes a good pivot by Sandberg, but the play is set up by Buechele, and Carex helps put the brakes on cancer with a $100 contribution to Cubs Care, and you don't see any better double plays than that.
Boy, look at that pivot, too, by Ryan Sandberg. Magadan did everything but take him out of the play. But that's going to be all for Greg Hibbert, who was outstanding in 6 2/3 innings. He allowed 7 hits and 1 run. And now Scanlon comes in to protect a 1-run lead. We'll tell you more about him following this message. Well, Harry Carey back to the ballpark. Here's that sensational double play. Look at Buechele. He's almost in foul territory. And watch this pivot. He leaps at the low hurdle for Sandberg. Boy, that's a big play. And now it's up to Bob Scanlon. And I know Randy Myers must be getting ready. Not in the bullpen yet, but he will be start throwing in the 8th.
Bob Scanlon, 1-2, the ERA, 5.19, on for the 21st time, and that leads the team in that department. Scanlon's given up a couple of home runs and 10 earned runs, and that's the last time out, which was last night right here. And he's got to face a tough right-hand hitter in Jeff Conine, who, despite the fact that he has just 1 home run, does have a lot of power.
Hibbert didn't walk anybody, and he fanned 5.
Harry Hibbert was behind on only 2 hitters all night, and when he gets ahead of the hitters, he is mighty tough, as he was this evening.
This is a long ball hitter. Bouncing ball. Sandberg's there. He's got it. And so at the end of 7, the Cubs still lead 2-1. Harry Carey and Steve Stone as we go into the top of the 8th. Aquino has been replaced by Joe Klink, K-L-I-N-K. He used to be the Oakland A's. Aquino, in 7 innings, allowed 7 hits, only 1 earned run. 2 runs all told. He walked 3, he fanned 5, and he hit 2. Dwight Smith. There's a strike call.
Joe Klink on for the 10th time. The ERA an even 4, an 0-1 record. He surfaced in the major leagues in 1987 with Minnesota, then had 3 different shots with the Oakland A's.
There's a fly ball, and the center field will be caught. And Carr hauls it in. 1 gone.
Klink had a fine year with Oakland in 1991. He was 10-3 that year, but then he hurt himself, and he sat out all of last year.
The Pirates lead the Cardinals 3-2 in the top of the 8th. Philadelphia leading Montreal 4-2, top of the 6th. Today, Cincinnati beat the Giants 6-2, and the Mets beat Atlanta 6-1. Wilkins fouls off the first pitch. That Mets victory was Dallas Green's first as manager of the Mets. In the American League, Texas beat California 4-2. Oakland over Chicago 6-4. There's a curve in there, a strike call. Toronto shut out Minnesota. The Yankees walled Boston. Detroit beat Cleveland. Baltimore over Milwaukee at the end of 6. 4-0. High pop fly. In foul territory. Magadan makes the catch.
Klink started to have some elbow problems in spring training of '92, and he was put on the disabled list at the end of spring training by Oakland. The elbow didn't get any better, and he had elbow surgery June 26th of last year. He was released by Oakland, and Florida decided to take a chance on him, inviting him to spring training with a AAA contract. But if you can get the ball over the plate as a left-hander, you can usually find a spot in somebody's bullpen. And Joe Klink has found one here in Florida.
Scanlon hasn't batted this year, I don't believe. 2 out, nobody on. Curveball in there. Klink, Joe Klink, big left-hander. Seattle and Kansas City, no score in the 6th. Had a cut. Looking in the bottom of the 8th. Walt Weiss will lead it off. Struck him out. 1, 2, 3. We go in the bottom of the 8th. Cubs lead 2-1. Carry back at Jorabi Stadium. We go in the bottom of the 8th, and Walt Weiss hitting 8th in the lineup. The shortstop of the Marlins will lead it off. He doubled his first time at bat. Being a switch hitter, he'll turn around and hit left-handed now against Bob Scanlon after having hit right-handed previously against Greg Hibbert. Hibbert 6 2/3 innings, only 1 run, that unearned.
Nobody in the on-deck circle yet, so we can't tell who Rene Latchman is going to go to.
A little bit inside and low. They're going to have the top of their batting order certainly going to come up again.
Greg Briley is in the on-deck circle.
They're sure to go through Dave Magadan. We're in the bottom of the 8th. Figure 3. If we're fortunate to get 3 men each inning, there's a ground ball. Grace has it, sharply hit. Weiss is retired. 1 away. Here's Greg Briley hitting for Klink.
Briley pinch hit last night. He popped out in the 7th inning, and he comes in hitting an even 300. 6 for 15 as a pinch hitter, so he's done a pretty good job off the bench. And you have to watch the bunt with Briley, who is a good runner.
He's had 1 home run this year. Driven in 5 runs. He's walked once, fanned 8 times. He's stolen 4 bases, so keep them all. There's a ground ball foul. Crowd hasn't been announced as yet. I would imagine about like last night. Another fine turnout. The Marlins have been averaging over 40,000 per game. 1 out, nobody on. Inside, Briley started the swing, held up in time. There's Harvey. Boy, I hope we don't see him again. They usually use him when they're ahead. He's already got 13 saves. Ground ball foul twice. He's been pulling the ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. Briley. He struck him out. He tried to check his swing, but he had gone around.
Pretty good pitch by Bob Scanlon. And this keeps a very fast man off base. Larry Vanover says he went far enough, and he certainly did, as Scanlon throws a forkball, keeps it out away from Briley, and he can't check his swing. So once again, you have to watch the bunt here from Chuck Carr, who's 2 for 3 tonight.
You know, Sandberg started one double play tonight. Buechele has started 2, both on Junior Felix. And Grace has started 1. And finished 1. His double play was 3-6-3. Naturally finished all 4 double plays.
This is not the man you want to walk. He is much too fast, and he has stolen 19 bases, so you want to make sure you throw a strike here.
There's a strike. Ask and you shall receive. 2 balls and the strike. Chuck Carr. He held up in time. Ball 3. 3-1. Carr started with the Mets organization. Was with the Cardinals last year. And now with the expansion Marlins. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Carr trying to get a base on balls. He knows the importance of his speed if he gets on. Fouled it back. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Rich Renteria is next. 0 for 3. Now ready. Carr's only about 5'8". Fouled it again, trying to check his swing.
Cubs got a break there because that was ball 4 up and out of the strike zone, and Carr could not pull the bat back.
Might have hit somebody down behind the Cub dugout.
Watch it again and watch this pitch. It's head high. Carr leaves the bat out. It hits it, and so Scanlon will have another chance.
Carr's hit only 1 home run this year. Second out! 1, 2, 3. And Scanlon takes care of in the 8th. At the end of 8, Cubs ahead 2-1. Harry Carey back at Joe Robbie Stadium. We're going into the 9th. Sammy Sosa will lead it off. Matt Turner from Lexington, Kentucky is on the mound. There's a pitch a little low.
Matt Turner on for the 4th time and does not have a record or an earned run average. Only giving up 1 hit in 4 2/3 innings. And he comes out of the Houston Astros organization.
2 balls, no strikes.
He made the ball club as a non-roster player. As you look at Randall Kirk Myers, who's going to come on for the save. And he's been perfect this year. Turner, a big man at 6'5", 215. This is his first shot at the major leagues. He was at Tucson last year, where he was 2-8 with a 3.51 ERA, but he was in 63 games.
There's a strike call. 3-1. Matt Turner. Big right-hander out of Lexington, Kentucky. 26 years old. Swung. Fouled it off. 3-2.
Turner originally signed by the Atlanta Braves as a non-drafted free agent back in 1986. Then he was traded to the Astros along with a player to be named later in exchange for Jim Clancy. And later released and signed to an Edmonton contract here on October 21st of 1992. And here he is in the major leagues for the first time.
Sammy Sosa, whose single leading off the 7th became the run by which the Cubs lead now 2-1. He stole second, went to third on Santiago's wild throw. And he strikes out this time. 1 away. And here's Ray Sanchez, who replaced Jose Vizcaíno. We got any word on Vizcaino?
Not yet.
1 out, nobody on. We know Willie Wilson has a bruise. They say it'll be day to day.
And now that you mention it, we do have a report on Vizcaino. Bruised right tricep, and he's listed day to day.
Which is a tricep the crazy bone?
Well, it's right in back of it, Harry. It's just above the elbow. And fortunately, it was a muscular bruise, and apparently not much bone involvement, and that's good news.
Thank you very much, Dr. Stone. There's an arm right field, a base hit. Sanchez lined to single to right. Boy, he's probably thinking, why couldn't I have done that with the bases loaded last night?
Ray Sanchez has been unbelievable in now a backup role. He was certainly very good as a starting shortstop when Ryne Sandberg was on the disabled list. He hit very well off the bench. And if Jose Vizcaino can't go to the post tomorrow, it's going to be Ray Sanchez for a while. So he's just tuning up the bat for perhaps a start tomorrow afternoon.
1 out, 1 on. Mark Grace, the hitter. And Santiago wants to talk to Matt Turner.
He's probably telling Turner to make sure that he holds Sanchez close, because the Cubs have finally exploited Benito Santiago behind the plate. He is really in a throwing slump, and he's made a couple of errors. 2 of the 4 Marlin errors tonight.
Oh, boy, he was going for the downs on that one. You can see Mark trying to turn on that ball. 1 ball, 1 strike, no balls. 1 out, 1 on. A high pop fly in the left field will be caught. Conine has it. 2 away. Grace drove in the go-ahead run with a double in the 7th. Here's Sandberg. 1 out of 3.
Outfield straight away for Sandberg. Sanchez does not have the greatest speed in the world, and odds are that they're not going to run with him, giving Sandberg a chance to perhaps hit a 2-run homer and extend his lead.
You know, Turner's only allowed 1 hit in the 5 innings of relief he's worked this year. So he hasn't yet given a home run. And Rhino would like to break that mark by hitting 1. 1 strike and nothing. Foul ball down the third baseline. 0-2.
I think Sandberg broke his bat on that one. And now down 0-2, you might think about running with Sanchez. He has 1 stolen base this year in 1 attempt. He's going to take a long look down at Chuck Cartier. The reason why you think about running 0-2 is that Turner does have a slider, and many times 0-2, trying to induce Sandberg to swing at something out of the strike zone, he might throw it in the dirt. So we'll keep an eye on Sanchez and see what Rhino gets on the 0-2 pitch.
In the 9th, Renteria, Santiago, Destrada. Like to have some more insurance. Top of the 9th, 2-1 Cubs. Sanchez, pretty good lead, but he gets back. Matt Turner. The throw to first. Well, our ratings in Lexington, Kentucky must have gone up suddenly with Matt Turner pitching. He's from there. Sanchez the lead. A little low. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. In the top of the 9th, Cubs lead 2-1.
Jim Corsi loosening up in the bullpen.
Throw to first. Randy Myers wiping off the little perspiration off his brow. Ground ball to the shortstop. Weiss for second. All right, no run, one hit, one left. We go in the bottom of the ninth. The Cubs leading 2-1. Carry from Joe Riley Stadium. The Cubs are leading 2-1. Here's Randy Myers trying for his 13th straight save. Remember, Brian Harvey got his 13th, not consecutive save last night.
Randy Myers given up 2 earned runs all year long, and there's the last appearance against St. Louis, and here we go.
Fouls the first pitch back for strike one.
Myers' ERA a scant 1.08. He's on for the 18th time, and he's got to go right through the heart of the order. As you look at Brian Harvey, the man the Cubs don't want to see tonight.
You know, Randy Myers has been so outstanding, we kind of overlooked the fine work of Bob Scanlon. Boy, he has been tremendous. Strike 2 call. Over the outside corner at the knees. And he's ahead of Renteria. Benito Santiago, who used to be a teammate of Randy Myers last year. The pitch. High, pop foul, out of play. So he ought to know how to pitch to Santiago, who's already had 2 out of 3 and scored their only run. It was Santiago last night. Check him out. Myers strikes out Rich Renteria. 1 away.
That's strikeout number 23 for Randy Myers in 17 innings.
Santiago, a teammate of Randy Myers at San Diego.
There you look at Stanton on top in National League saves with Mitch Williams second, Harvey third, and Myers trying to tie him tonight.
That ought to be easy. Sanchez over the first, bad throw. There's a man trying for second to throw. A routine grounder, and Sanchez threw the ball away. And the tying run goes to second base.
Looked like it was going to be the second out. Instead, Ray Sanchez throws one away, and Grace can't come up with it. This one in the dirt. Mark Grace, usually very dependable, has the ball hop over the glove, and then only the speed of Santiago enables him to go to second base. So Sanchez picks up his 7th error of the year, and the tying run now at second base, and things getting a little tougher for Randy Myers.
Now, Oreste de Strada, and Dave Magadan is next. A little bit low and outside. De Strada, nothing out of 3 today, nothing out of 4 last night. You know, yesterday with the score tied, 2 out, Santiago singled, bringing up Junior Felix, who hit the homer that won the ball game. Tonight, he's safe on an air, which gives him a chance at the tying run. A little low. 2 balls and a strike.
Estrada was a home run champ in Japan 3 different years, hitting as many as 42 home runs. Only 2 this year, 1 from each side of the plate, and Myers wants to stay away from him, making sure he can't pull the ball.
Fouls it back, 2-2. Estrada 31 years old. He looks much younger, lives in St. Petersburg. He's out of Cuba, from Santiago, Cuba. They have a lot of Latin American ball players here in Miami, which is one of the reasons they're drawing so well. High run at second. Back him out. 2 men are out. And here's Dave Magadan.
Good slider by Randy Myers. He throws a biter down and in. And this is a dandy. And no chance for Destrada, who spanned twice. And now only the left-handed Magadan, another former teammate of Randy Myers with the New York Mets, stands between him and save number 13.
And you got to worry about Magadan because he's a contact hitter. He rarely strikes out. The pitch. Low and outside. Junior Felix would be next. But for the air, the ball game would be over. The Cubs have made 2 errors. The Marlins have made 4. Strike over the outside corner. You talk about a good slider. He threw the devil out of that one. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out, 1 on.
We have to watch left field and the left field line with Magadan up against Myers, as Magadan will use the whole field. And Derek May straight away in left field, well off the line.
The pitch. Held up in time. Ball 2. If he does get a hit, I certainly hope it's in the right field, because Sammy Sosa got the best arm in our outfield. Two balls and a strike. And now it's 2-2. Oh boy, I hope he can throw the slider he threw for the first strike. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Dave Magadan, a fine hitter out of Tampa, Florida. A nephew of Lou Piniella. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Cubs lead 2-1. And Santiago on the number 2 base. Deuces all wild. High fly ball. The Cubs win. The Cubs win 2-1. And Randy Myers has his 13th save of the year. 13 out of 13 opportunities. You can't beat that. That's perfection. And so the Cubs are even up in the series. And it's been an exciting series indeed. And now everybody congratulating everybody.
And Harry, the Cubs got it done out of the bullpen tonight. It was an outstanding job by Greg Hibbert, who fell behind only 2 of the Marlin hitters all night. Bob Scanlon came in, gave Jim Lefevre a fine inning in the 3rd, and he did his job getting the game to Randy Myers. And the Cubs now have split with the Marlins, so they're actually 3-3 with the expansion clubs, and they're trying to tomorrow do what every other team has done against the Marlins. That's win the series. The Marlins have never won a series. They've never been swept. They won't be swept in this one. But the Cubs tomorrow will send Frank Castillo to the mound, trying to take 2 out of 3 here in Florida. And congratulations to Randy Myers and all the Cubs, as they've come back in a very tough and tight one here tonight. Not a good defensive effort. 6 errors combined. Fortunately, 4 for the Marlins. The Cubs committed 2, but the Cubs come out on top in a real exciting ball game.
And so the fans now heading for the exits. We never did get the crowd. We'll try to get it before when we come back, which we'll do after this message. Hey, see if you can find out.